There you go. A little early for you.
7:01 in the morning.
7:01. That's when I'm at my fucking hottest. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk. Spike, you don't even have to talk. I got an hour and 10 minutes in me by myself.
Well, I mean, when you think about how far we've grown, the first, year and a half of this, you did it at like 5 a.m. on the phone.
I think it was 6, but
was it 6?
That was,
yeah.
5 a.m. would have been, I don't know. We didn't.
On the phone.
I didn't know enough to know that I could say it. This is not tenable.
Well, truthfully, and this speaks to the change in the change of technology over 10 years. I wouldn't have even known how to record it at home. The only reason I knew how to record it was because I was in a radio studio and I could bring you up on the phone and I had a separate computer. I wouldn't have even known how to do it at that point. Yeah.
We have really bridged the gap of the digital age.
Yep. Headset mics.
CJ wasn't even born.
Yeah.
That's right. Wasn't here.
The other funny era was when we were doing it on Skype and recording it. Skype had this setting that would automatically adjust the volume that I didn't know about. And for probably months until one of our listeners, I'm sorry, I forget her name, in Minneapolis was like, hey, the volume on the pod randomly gets really loud and then really quiet and then really loud and really quiet.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's old timey pictures, how they take old black and white photos of baseball stadiums.
Yeah.
That's us. The beginning of this podcast.
The Rights To Ricky Sanchez podcast.
Yeah, it's that speed.
Many people listened at home on their transistor radios.
That's a pretty good impression of that.
Old timey. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Let's give. Oh, and before we start, just somebody said it in the comments, Mr. Swagoo, Dougie P.
Oh yeah, Doug.
Congratulations, Doug Peterson.
I love Doug.
I know everyone loves Charlie Manuel, but for me, Brett aside, I love Doug so much, probably more than any other former Philadelphia coach ever. I love Doug.
I think Doug and Charlie are very similarly beloved.
Yeah.
And also similarly kind of demonized as guy seems kind of stupid.
Yep. But it's the stupidity that makes people makes the players dedicated. It's the simpleness,
Yeah. Doug
because
just wants ice cream.
they're not bullshitting you.
Yeah. Get Doug his ice cream. Get Charlie to hit in season.
True story. I stood at the Eagles Super Bowl ring ceremony. I stood in line with Doug Peterson to get ice cream, and I was my dad's +1, and I looked at him and I said, "Can you believe that this is happening?" And he had a smile on his face, like he couldn't believe it either. And that is the true Doug Peterson moment to me. Thank you, Dad, for bringing me to that. I shouldn't have been there. I felt like a fucking imposter because I was, I guess. All right, let's go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. A nice wave of new process pups coming in over the last month or so. Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. His cell, 302-864-8643. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Kinetic Skateboarding. If you're listening to this on Sunday, or if you're listening live right now, a Ricky special all weekend at Kinetic, 25% off all Vans. Just use the code RickyVans at checkout. On the show today, Mike has returned. No more guest hosts for the time being. Sixers win a nail biter in Utah after getting their asses kicked at home by the Thunder. We have mid-season, so we maybe do some grading. A possible banning of a media member who seems to have banned the Ricky on their own, which Mike knows nothing about, which is very exciting. We'll catch Mike up on the Q-tip controversy, which has grown exponentially since he's been gone. And we have a Fly the Process is 3 weeks away. So we have a demand for Greg Popovich. And finally, the Ringer Top 100 was updated. So we'll finally get to those Ringer Top 100 rankings. Another thing that happened while Mike was gone, 2 new shirts that are only on sale for 1 week longer. One of them, the self-explanatory, I've always believed in Tobias Harris. That is pre-sale for one more week. And then the other, dedicated to Coach Mike himself and the 1-2-1 zone, the Coach Mike t-shirt. Both available. What's that?
Who could buy that shirt?
Oh, it's a great. I already bought it. For what it's worth, I already bought it. That's one of my favorite shirts ever.
Arguably the longest explanation that any shirt has ever required.
Why is there a 1-2-1 zone? So good. They're on sale now for one more week. If you're listening to the podcast version, the links are right here, right in the description. Otherwise, go to rightstoRickySanchez.com and click on where it says store. I did mention Kinetic, the special promo this weekend. The code is Ricky Vans for 25% off all Vans. Goes through Sunday. They have so many on there. I have not done my shopping yet. I will do it today. I've never owned a pair of the original Vans, like checkerboard ones. So I want those. I'll probably buy 2 or 3 pair. 25% off is a lot off. Go to kineticskateboarding.com and use code RickyVance, 25% off. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Gaskin, along with a guy who was so excited to return to the pod. He insisted on doing it 1 hour earlier than we normally do. That is one Coach Mike Levin. Welcome.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We're back from Memphis. We are annoyed by the Sixers. Nice and refreshed and ready to be upset again.
About wins. So we have a lot to get to. Mike doesn't even know, like the Q-tip thing happened. There's just so much to get to. But we have to start with the Jazz game. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel differently than everybody else about this game. Sixers Adams said it was mostly bad in this game. You know, there was only 12 good minutes, yada, yada, yada. Kyle, Sixers fans mad. How could they blow that lead? Blah, 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 blah. Only one thing mattered to me in this entire game. One thing. And that is to win the game, they went to a Joel Embiid, James Harden pick and roll. There wasn't some annoying ISO where Joel dribbled too much. There wasn't a step back three. There was a pick and roll. I wish Joel had shot it right away, but we'll get to that later. But there's a pick and roll with their two best players. It worked. Embiid got the shot that he is good at. He scored it. They won. Out of anything you could take from this game, to me, that is the most important thing. And I went to bed thinking, okay, I'm all right with that one. That's it.
I think it's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It's easy as, you know, just as it was easy to get tripped up in the first handful of bad games by like small things. It is a bigger thing of like they're doing it and it's working and it worked. And they won the game because of it. I think that's maybe a big picture thing. And if you want to be an optimist, which Spike, things are changing. Yeah, it's nice.
Famously enough.
Then that is nice. And it was like, you know, it wasn't just that last play. It was a stretch over the last few minutes. Harden getting to that little spot underneath and having like the 4-foot floater that went in was also off of a pick and roll. So yeah, they're running their bread and butter stuff like it should have been obvious that they should.
Yes. And the only criticism I have of that bread and butter stuff is, and this is a comfort thing. It sort of reminds me of the Harden shooting off the catch. The Embiid, like when they run that pick and roll and he's at like 13 to 15 feet, he's wide open when he gets the ball, but he seems like sort of uncomfortable in just going right up with it. Yeah. So we'll take
it's a rhythm thing.
Yeah.
Like I think he likes to sort of fade on his jumpers. I think it's just what you feel more comfortable doing preference wise. Like he's not a natural, step into your three, land, like, as an example, Malik Beasley, like catch, shoot, and just like both feet wide, land exactly where like a foot where he took off from. Embiid, I think, is a much more rhythm shooter, and that's why I think you see like his threes not feeling right unless they're the way he wants to shoot them, and like he just likes his little like sort of saucy fades, and so I think he's figuring out how to do that, because there were a couple times earlier in the game where like those mid-rangers weren't like falling for him. And I think it was like too long or not enough arc on him. He gets more arc when he is like fading a little bit. And so it's a comfort thing.
So that's me. That's me.
All right.
Like
so you're, nothing else? Not upset about anything in the game?
Well, look, the Harden played great game, but is mostly because he played a Harden game when he hit a bunch of threes in the fourth quarter. It kept them like they were falling apart. And it kept them in front. Like if he doesn't hit those shots, they don't keep him in front. Like the complaints to me are generally no different than they have been. There's a Maxey thing I want to get to a little bit later, but like they like for as clicky as the offense looked in the first quarter, like it looked fucking unclicky past that. And like they like I don't know, Matisse Thybulle stinks, and I don't know. The rest of the game was just like normal Sixers to me. I have trouble taking away very much. Like what was it for you that stuck in your craw specifically? I think.
Well, I mean, let me just talk about Harden for a second. Then we can. Yep. I got complaints. I got complaints about all you people. And yeah, I mean, definitely carried them with those step backs in the fourth. I think it's like sometimes those step backs look like it's just a heave, and he's sort of lasering it in, and it like curls around the rim somehow. But it feels like lately the step backs have looked like he's getting good lift on them. Like his legs seem like right. And there's good. I think you can tell when the arc is good, or when he's just like, I got nothing else to do. Here's what we're going with.
Yep.
And so I thought those were good. He really has been excellent offensively lately. Like he's been the past however many stretch of games, he's been excellent. And there's still things that are bothersome, like the standing still off ball, although he's been more willing to shoot off the catch, it feels like. The occasional like slowing down the pace to a crawl.
Yeah, the Bulls game, it felt like he was like sort of half even playing. But by and large, I agree with you.
Just generally being like a half step slower than he used to be, that kind of thing. But overall, he's still like an extremely efficient offensive player. And the team a lot of times it's a clinic when he's out there. That's why their offense has gone up to like 9th overall, is because of Harden is like, it's clicking, it's working. And then it's just like, man, the defense. Oh God, the defense. There's times when I want to defend James Harden's defense and feel like I'm like, shielding him from a ton of bullets.
Yeah, but he just.
But then sometimes it's like, what's going on? Sometimes he doesn't feel like stopping dribble penetration at all, and he's unwilling to slide his feet, or like his feet physically can't slide. It's like his first move is they're dribbling by him, and he's like, I'm just gonna put my hand on his hip, and then I'm gonna let him walk with me. It's like it's not even an attempt a lot of the time. And sometimes he has great hands, good anticipation. We'll make a couple steals happen. We'll strip like a bigger guy, like that kind of thing. And then, but usually his on-ball defense is good enough for me to be like, he's actually not that bad. It's the off-ball stuff that makes me go like, what? When you watch this in like film sessions, which we'll have to ask if Doc has film sessions, and as much as they practice zone with Tobias. When he watches game tape with the team, like, what do you feel? What do you say? Because sometimes he's just like falls asleep off ball. I don't think it happened last night, but it happened a few games in Memphis that I was catching up on. And like, I would issue a public apology. I would like have to issue a public apology on like legal letterhead. Like, I'm sorry for like totally falling asleep, for like taking out a little cot and laying down. And so my guy could just cut off ball and like absolutely pass out.
This is like nothing new though. I mean,
I know, but it's I haven't been here in a while. I gotta like just like catch up and stuff. But it's the combination of like, he has been absolutely excellent offensively, and there's just there's just too many things to account for on this team. Harden's defense is one of them that like it would just be nice if you look at some Boston last year, let's say, like by the end, there's just nothing. There wasn't a weakness. Like there was like you can gum up their offense a little bit with like defense and making them, take tough shots and slip into ISO ball because they really started passing the ball really well. But a couple times they would still do it and they would turn the ball over and stuff. But there wasn't like a glaring weaknesses that they're trying to play like whack-a-mole with. Like we got to cover up this, we got to cover up this, we got to cover up this, and like it feels like the Sixers have too many of those, and Harden's defense is a big one.
The one thing I would say, because I said there's plenty of videos of like a minute of him sucking throughout his career on defense, but the one thing I would say specifically in support of of this year and this comment this year is that the defense of him previously was that he was doing so much on offense that from an energy perspective, it made sense. But like, right? You remember that? And okay, sure. you could, if you were a Harden supporter or even if you're a logical person, we've talked ourselves into that from Embiid before. Okay, fine. But now that is not the case. While he does carry a heavy load, he is not doing the same thing that he was doing in Houston. It does not require the same amount of effort. He's not even like physically when you watch him, and this isn't a criticism, but like what he does on offense doesn't look like it requires a lot of physical effort, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, he's playing a lot of minutes, but he's not like, he's not running,
play minutes all
jumping,
different
and bursting.
Ways. Like we could get 20, if we're going to get 20% less like energy out of him on offense, just because of the role he's playing and playing with Embiid and yada, 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 then I feel like we could take that energy and just move it over to defense.
A little bit. I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think his passing's been kind of weird lately. Like he's making a couple beautiful ones, like the one over his head to Embiid.
It was awesome.
on the pick and roll that he drew Walker Kessler. Yeah. Walker Kessler was just very good right away. Now I saw him play the Grizzlies, so he's just really impressive for a rookie as the center. You don't see him very often. Like that was a special pass, but there's been a couple weird like brain fart like turnovers, and he only had 2 last night. I don't remember them being very good, but there's been a couple weird ones. But overall, Harden offensively has been excellent and carrying them. It's just like this is an easy stretch, Like this should be the stretch.
Right, and they're struggling in almost every one of the games, like whether they lose it or not.
Yeah, at least in some level, there's a struggle that shouldn't be happening. Yeah. And I think last night was a game where they missed Tobias. Would have been really helpful Tobias game. Just because I have it written down, we can go to it. Like, I thought this was a great Shake game. I thought this was it was nice to have him be good. I felt like we were due for one.
Actually. Can we hold on just 1 second and then get to the Shake game?
Yeah.
Before we get to the Shake game, which will be important. Big Barker dog beds.
Yes.
My aunt, my uncle came over yesterday to see our new house, which we've been in for a year and a half, but whatever. And my cousin Alec, congratulations on Dean's List, your first semester at Lehigh. But
God, cousin Alec is actually the run of how long this podcast has gone.
Yeah. Cousin Alec, he's going to be an executive, but we're still going to be going somewhere. So they like, and Rebel has gotten a lot better with visitors. Like he used to bark for 3 hours at a visitor, and he was only barking for, I'd say 45 minutes yesterday. But a way to get him to settle down is we get him over to his bed. His Big Barker. He's had a Big Barker as long as we've been talking about Big Barker on the Ricky. We've had a bunch of new process pups. The Big Barker is important. BigBarker.com/Ricky. BigBarker.com/Ricky. Make sure you go to that link if you want the process pup patches. You get the Big Barker and the process pup patches, and you send us a photo. We put them in the process pup gallery. Why Big Barker? You're like, this bed's it's more expensive than other dog beds. Well, fuck yeah, it's better. It's a better bed. It is better for your dog's health. Right? It supports your dog's joints, whereas other dog beds, they're not really beds. You buy them home, you carry them with one hand, fold it up. You shouldn't be able to fold up a mattress. Can you fold up your mattress? Of course not. If it's supporting your dog, if it's supporting your dog's joints, it's going to be more sturdy. You can tell as soon as the Big Barker comes in the mail, it's different than other dog beds. Penn Vet did a study. All of these claims they make, it's true. Like the dog has like better joint function, reduction in pain severity. All these things happen. As your dog gets older, it becomes important. Now, Big Barker's great for a young dog too, because even young dogs want to sleep on a supportive mattress. But as your dog gets older, as those joints get creaky, Big Barker keeps them comfortable, supported, and healthier. It's just better for your dog. Also better because it's going to last a while. There's a 10-year warranty on the Big Barker. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. By the way, Big Barkers come in all sizes from the Barker Jr. to the extra large one. So even if your dog's tiny, I've said a bunch of times, Rebel's 40 pounds. Big Barker, perfect for him. 1 year at-home trial. If you don't like it, if your dog doesn't like it, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, but they'll give you a full refund and even pay for shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. Shake was really good last night. And I don't know what happened to Maxey, but like Shake getting crunch time minutes as well. He didn't play like in the final like 90 seconds or whatever, but he had a stretch in like the last 5 minutes of the game where he was in there. It was good to see him get crunch time minutes with Harden, with Embiid, and I thought he was particularly good last night. Did like a little bit of everything that you want him to be able to do.
I think Maxey got elbowed in the nuts.
Is that what happened?
I think so.
I didn't
or
see
at least
that.
Maybe boxed out in the nuts. Something.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, Shake's hesitation was working. He had a huge finish in traffic during like a non-Embiid run in the fourth. That was big. And it does seem like he's getting more comfortable shooting off the catch. Mm-hmm. Maybe just because the shots went in, it feels that way. But it does seem like he's a little bit, as Tobias occasionally reverts back to the like, I'd rather dribble this in, please. Stuff. Not all the time, but just a little more than I would like. It's been necessary for Shake to take those shots. That being said, I have been getting more confident lately that they're going to trade him.
Shake.
Yeah.
I have a conflicting take, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's expiring, and I think Melton is such a good fit on this team. Even though Melton has an extra year over Shake, I think they're going to try to re-sign Melton at some point, or extend him whenever they can. And it just feels like Shake is that fourth guard. I think they would just rather have somebody who is a little bit, or at least maybe not as a guard, but just is a little bit like bigger and can defend and is a little more physical and is a little more like obvious as a shooter. Basically the guy that they thought Dan House would be.
Yeah, where'd he go?
Yeah, just not. He just wants to take step backs. All he wants to do. But you're at the rim, and he's just stepping back. He's just stepping back left and right. He's got an open dunk in transition, and he's ready to step that thing back. But yeah, it just seems like they're one guy short, and it seems like Shake is going to get a big contract somewhere else, or I don't know about big, but some amount. Here we go, $12 million.
Yeah,
and somebody's going to give it to him, and I'd rather than let him walk for nothing. I think having him be part of a package where someone else can have bird rights. It feels like that's going to happen.
Can I give you my conflicting take on that?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It was the Thunder game. I want to be clear when I'm introducing this topic. This is not, I don't necessarily like believe in this as the path, and I'm not 100% sure that this would happen. But I'm watching the Thunder game, and I texted our own Kyle Neubeck during the game. What I texted him was, man, I love Maxey, but like when I'm watching him, I feel like he is playing like on a different team than the current Sixers. Like he's good and he scores and he's gotten better but like when I see him with Harden and Embiid specifically, I'm just like, this dude is just like, this lineup does not take advantage of what he does well, and though he's become a good shooter, he isn't exactly what they need. And I think to myself, if I'm Daryl Morey, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts that this team has a chance of winning a title, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts in Harden and Embiid, which is like at best like a 2 to 3 year window, and that is at best. What I could get for Maxey is probably better for this team to win a title in the next 2 years than Maxey is for this team. Like, and I ended up tweeting, like, because I just want to get people's feel on trade value, like who's worth what. And a lot of people had Anunoby as like a similar trade value as Maxey. And I just think to myself that if the Sixers had OG Anunoby instead of Tyrese Maxey over the next 2 years, would they have a better chance of winning a title than they do now? And I have to believe that the answer is yes. And I don't want to trade for Zach LaVine. Like, that's not what I'm saying they should do. But even if I think about what Maxey is good at, like Zach LaVine is currently, right today, Zach LaVine is better at all of those things. Like, there are players that the Sixers could theoretically get for Maxey that is going to give them a significant chance of winning a title over the next couple of years. And I think, how Milton fits into this is like, could I just put Shake Milton in the role that I need out of the Maxey role, which is like 6-man, shoot off the catch, play some defense. What I really need out of that specific role, could I just use Milton? And I think if you make the right Maxey trade, the answer is yes. And that's sort of like where I've come to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that there's not a value in trading a guy on his rookie contract who is a bit of an overlap with what we have in Harden as far as like both guys need the ball. Maxey's turning himself into such an excellent shooter that I don't think it's as necessary. But obviously defensively, there's always going to be concerns with those two. To me, it's you trade him for Anunoby, they're still not good enough, and then Harden gets worse, and there's nobody there to like take over for like the back half of Embiid's prime. But
the real question there is like, and I think the unknown math is, what do you think the chances are really that they're going to win a title over the next year or two?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's really, you know what I mean? And I would be with you. I would probably be like, the chances are pretty low, even relatively to other teams. So I probably wouldn't do it. But if Morey is married to Harden and Embiid, it feels like the right thing. And I don't know his trade value, right? Like I have no idea what Maxey's trade value is.
I mean, it's going to be high. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it.
All right.
I mean, he hasn't looked great since he got back. Obviously, he's working his way back. Like, I think the jumper is pretty back. Like, the rest maybe isn't. I was frustrated. I like there's like a narrow line between Maxey being aggressive with the ball in his hands and then being like, you're kind of taking bad shots. And like when he gets the ball on the wing and he can like run a little bit, it's 1-on-3 and he's like, I can beat these guys. And it's just like, you kind of can't most of the time.
Right.
I wouldn't mind a couple more. Do yourself a favor, pull the ball out, start the offense, get into it that way, because it feels like he's just, always going 100 and like expecting this like up and under in traffic to go in. And a lot of times you can make it. It's an impressive shot, but like you don't have to do it. We don't have to do that. And there were a couple times last night where I was like, dude, fucking pull it out, relax. But I think Doc is only just saying like pace. And so that's what he's doing, what he thinks he's supposed to be doing. I just need him to be better on defense. Like it's, I know he's small and young, but like you're on a team that thinks that they should be a championship contender. So if you want to be bad at defense, like go play for like Charlotte or something. Like you're a major minutes guy playing opposite James Harden, who is notoriously bad at defense.
Yep.
And is going to fall asleep. Like I just need him to be a little bit better at defense. Like at least be the like get every single loose ball guy. Like poke the ball out. Like start to be something. I don't know. I just need to be better. I need to find more ways to impact the game defensively and not be just like dying on screens and, limply contesting a shot. It's tough to ask for. He's young, but this is the position he's in. And I just like, if the team's going to go anywhere, like him and Harden need to be better defensively. And then, so I would pair him and Embiid a lot more together. And I would I would start with Embiid, obviously the starting lineup, and then I would end with Embiid and Harden pick and rolls. But in the middle there, I would be like Harden and Montrez, because Trez is unplayable unless Harden is allowing him to be a roll man, and that would make Maxey and Embiid more of a pairing. So it's give the two of them some juice and stuff. It seems like too often Doc is having neither of them on the court together, and that seems bizarre.
Well, it's Doc. Well, I mean, so where are we at? We're mid-season. What's the record? 26-15. Is that where they are? Is that the Sixers record at this point? Let's see.
Yeah, I got a lot more stuff on the game. Still
Oh my
mad about
God,
some
are you
stuff.
serious?
Still. I can rip through it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we didn't talk about Embiid and Ball. We didn't talk about Embiid at all. Yeah. Really.
Yeah. 26-16. 5 games out of first. 3 games out of 8th. 4 games out of 8th. So smack dab in the middle would be the 4-5 cat with the Cavs right now at about halfway through. So what's your Embiid thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like he's incredible in the first quarter.
Yep.
They either they decide they're going to be, breaking world records in the fourth quarter, or they're going to be like 5 undead Wilson Chandlers. He has like 16 points every quarter. It's unbelievable, and I always like when he gets to be like offended by who he has covering him.
Right, and he just goes right at him.
Yeah, and he's angry about it. It's like, how could you do this to me? But his combination of physicality and touch was really on display last night. The frustrating thing is when he's having to do so much defensively because they cannot contain dribble penetration. Like, it's the first dribble and they're by guys. It's like over and over again. And when he's covering a guy like Walker Kessler, who is just going to run rim to rim, he's going to run rim to rim. He's like the prototypical rim running center. He's going to block shots. He's going to dunk, which is like, in a perfect world, my ideal kind of center, and certainly my ideal backup center. But the Sixers haven't had one of those guys ever. But when Joel's not locked in, he will just sort of like get bored with like, oh, this guy's just going to stand in the dunker spot, and he'll like lose him in transition. There was one time when it was like, I'm watching Joel like feel like he has to help out a ball handler, and he's starting to like inch up into the paint, inch up higher and higher, and I'm just yelling like, it's a lob, it's going to be a lob, they're going to lob, it's going to be a lob, and then it Conley drives, gets by somebody, and Joel's helping too high, and it's an easy lob, and it's just like, he knows he has to keep coming over there, but like when he does, then there's just a big fucking dickhead who's wide open underneath, who's just ready to dunk. And it's just like, God, somebody's got to contain dribble penetration more. Like, it wasn't a good Melton game last night. He got roasted by Jordan Clarkson a lot. Clarkson's a good offensive player. He can get very hot. Nobody could touch him.
Melton, by the way, has never made a shot in the paint, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Had a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid's an excellent player. He's getting so good in those chase down blocks. And he hasn't been doing quite as many like random like passes to nobody malfunctions, but he did do one in the fourth quarter last night when he just like jumped past to like
left. Yep.
Just to like, here's a space on the court that I'm throwing it to, and it's like you didn't look, you just assumed somebody would be there. So that was tough. But yeah, I mean, there's just, if guys aren't going to stop the ball in the half court, it's going to be so easy for other teams to do that. Even when Embiid's out there, like, something has to change. I just don't. Is it an effort thing? Like, is it just like one of those nights or in the dregs of the season? But like, nobody out there could stop the ball, and it made me think: do we get Jaden Springer out there for a minute or two, who looked really good in that Pistons game, Spike? You thought it would go past me. You thought I wouldn't have noticed. You thought I would have been. He's in Memphis. He's working. He's working. He's not going to see that Jaden Springer had the best game of his career, 10 points, career high
against a fucking G League team.
Hey man, 10 points in the NBA is 10 points. Have you scored 10 points in the NBA? Are you an accredited high school referee?
No, because no one's asking for me to play, for me to be like.
If you scored 10 points in the NBA, I would.
Yes.
And if you could stop the ball and give a little more girth defensively, a little more thickness, I loved it. I had a blast watching that, by the way. But yeah, I mean, Melton at the rim, man. Oh,
yeah,
wow. He doesn't know. There were times over the last couple of weeks where he's like a couple little English here and there, like he's starting to work at either hand. Like there's a couple like nice moves, but it's in transition when he can't do anything. And it's like, God, you're really good at stealing the ball and getting out in transition. But
well, if he was good at everything, he would be. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like these are things he's good at. So.
And he doesn't seem to look for trailers. You know, he had Embiid right behind him on one of those, and he was just like, "I'm good. I got to miss this. Sorry, hang on, I got to miss it."
The fact is, his improvement as a 3-point shooter is far more than I expected. Even like the little step back ones, I will take all the others.
And he always seems to hit the important ones,
Yep.
which is always good.
The Ricky is brought to you by Adam Ksebe, who is the official realtor of the process. Ksebe is how you spell it. If you want to get in touch with him, you can call or text him at 302-864-8643. I thought of Ksebe last week, as my wife and I went to Bar Harbor, Maine last year and rented a house, and we're doing the same thing this year. And they raised the fucking prices by like 35% to rent this cabin. And I thought to myself, man, if this is quite a leap, but if I had my own place, I wouldn't have to pay these crazy fucking fees for 1 week of renting a home. And when I wasn't there, I could rent it out to other people and basically pay for the whole thing. That's what Ksebe will help you do in the Delaware beaches. You want to get Delaware over Jersey, because Jersey, the property taxes are too high, and even like it's crowded, and even the prices on the properties are too high. Ksebe will help you in Delaware. Delaware beaches, so many different options. Rehoboth, Lewis, there is Bethany Beach, there's Dewey. If you're cool, I'm not cool anymore, but if you got a kid, maybe that kid's cool, wants to go to Dewey. Ksebe will help you. His team, based out of Long and Foster and Bethany Beach, are the experts, Delaware Beach Realty. They have all of Delaware covered. Even if you want to sell Delaware, they have all of Maryland covered. And here's what's great about Ksebe too. He loves our listeners. He loves working with you. He's the best at what he does. Even if you're not buying or selling in Delaware or Maryland, Jersey, PA, New York, wherever you are, you go to Ksebe first. He will find the right realtor for you. He'll ask you what you're looking for, where you're looking for, what you're looking to spend. He'll interview the realtors. He does this and then get you the right person. You don't have a realtor? You do now. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, 302-864-8643. That's 302-864-8643 or processrealtor.com. Anything else in this fucking Utah game? Or can we...
I have other things, but I can lose them. But I just want to talk about PJ Tucker and then Trez. We can work that into something else if you want me to.
No. Why don't we do it now? Because I've decided I'm going to stand up for PJ Tucker. I've always MOC fucking is bailing on him. We can't just say that everybody else turns it on the playoffs, but the 37-year-old who's literally only here for the playoffs can't just turn on the playoffs.
No. If he was only here for the playoffs, then why the fuck is he playing when his hand is dead?
Because he wants to play.
That can't be the reason. I want to play.
Harden wants him to play. He wants to play. Let him fucking play.
No, absolutely not. He needs to fucking rest.
Nah.
It's unbelievable. He looks like shit. He's not doing anything. Anybody gets hot. Like, he couldn't stop Taylor Horton Tucker last night. It wasn't even like an attempt to put him on Taylor Horton Tucker. He's getting hot. It was, and if we're thinking this guy's going to lean on Giannis in the playoffs. This guy's going to lean on Tatum or Durant. And he can't stop fucking Taylor Horton Tucker.
He's conserving his energy.
Oh my God. He's not looking at the basket unless it's in the corners, which is a problem. He's
5 points last night.
He can't, there's nothing that he can do when he has the ball. Like, he may as well be Doc may as well have the ball at the elbow or something. He's not going to do anything.
Even better reason to trade Maxey for OG Anunoby.
No. OG's not as good of a shooter as Maxey.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a big problem having too many, what I was saying earlier, too many guys out there that just can't do a certain fucking thing. And when PJ Tucker has the ball anywhere except for the corners, he is absolutely hopeless.
He's only here for playoffs.
Hopeless and useless. And defensively, he's just always in no man's land, just constantly. I'm totally with MOC. Expecting when's the play going to happen? It happened last night and the last play of the game when him and Embiid trapped Clarkson on the baseline to win the game. That was the one thing he did. But really, it's bad. It is bad out there. And he needs to just find a way to be as useful as he used to be, or take a fucking month off. God damn it. Seriously, what the fuck?
He'll be fine in May.
Truly, what the fuck? If he's here for the playoffs, if that's the only thing that matters, if we're saying we finally got a guy, MOC made the point, thought that he would add toughness and physicality and consistency of effort to this team, and he just doesn't. He's just out there looking a little bit lackadaisical and just standing there and kind of screaming at other guys, but usually for his mistakes. It's not great. It's not great. And then we have him for 3 fucking years, and he's just got to not suck so bad. And if he sucks too bad, then you need to give him a fucking time off. What the fuck do people have against time off? When you're sick, don't come into the office. When you're hurt, stay home. Sit on the bench for a little. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This fucking like grind culture that PJ Tucker is believing in or something. You're hurt. You're bad now. Sit until you're better.
He wants to play. He's the only tough guy in the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's really working out. It's really working out. It's very tough. All that tough guy physicality. 1 for 7 in the last like 6 weeks. It sucks.
What's your Trez thing?
So like, obviously he had a couple good games while I was gone.
Yeah, offensively.
Offensively, he had some good games when I was gone.
Yep.
And I'm watching those games being like, this is the
BBall
worst
Paul,
thing.
by the way, had like a fucking 2016 game while you were away too. 20 points, 16 boards.
Oh yeah, he's the man.
Offensive.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm watching the Trez games being like, this is the worst thing to ever happen to the team.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst thing that could have happened.
It's just a reason for a double down from the coach.
Doc was doubling down when he was playing like absolute dog shit. Now that he has like a couple games where he's like had a couple dunks inside against like children, like there it is.
Can't wait till we lose in the first round.
He's gonna do it.
Fucking Montrezl Harrell.
He's gonna do it. Unbelievable. I was surprised that he in the Thunder game went to B-ball because Trez just like he's just a horrendous defensive player. He's got a couple blocks lately that like makes it seem like he's doing something defensively, but he has no chance. If you run a pick and roll with Trez out there, he can't stop the handler or the roller. You could score 2 baskets at once in the same play. He is drawing dead on everything. He's just always like watching the ball go by him, watching a rebound go by him, anything. You know, he's playing drop coverage from 35 feet with a second left on the clock at the end of the first quarter. So THG could have like a walk into an easy, not easy, but like an open look, not even trying to contest it. And he biffed so many layups last night. The whole time, he's just, for his whole career, he shot 70% of the rim, over 70% of the rim. His whole career, 8 years. Most cases up to 75. Last year was 77% of the rim. So that's why I understood you sign him for this kind of thing. But this year, he's at 65%.
Well, you just gotta give him more time
at the rim.
To get to 70.
65% at the rim for a guy that is just doing that. And maybe he'll, some more dunks will go in. He missed a couple last night, missed a couple layups last night. Or maybe just his legs are dying. And they're just dead. He's also now like 0 threat from mid-range. He's not doing any isolation off the dribble like he used to. Like he's really, really bad. And it was the fact that he had a couple like dunks off rolls from Harden in those games that he did when I was gone because he was scared of me being here is just indication of how low the fucking bar was. On the floor. Absolutely. They expected nothing out of him. Just simply exist. And there's just too many guys out there that are fucking out on the team existing. And it's not going to work in the playoffs. Obviously, it's not going to work in the playoffs. If anyone in the world thinks that that's going to work in the playoffs, then I want them to fight me.
He did go to BBall Paul in the playoffs last year. So we got it.
Doc kicking and screaming, pouting, complaining, not doing a victory tour. Like he's so upset about it. And he's not going to do it again. He's not. We're in
Get
hell.
that out of your system? Yeah. Right.
No.
All right. We got to save that up for the playoffs. But by the way, we can't get rid of all of our Montrezl Harrell anger now when the playoffs are nearly.
It sucks. I
mere
fucking
months
love
away.
Trez as a younger guy, but he's just dying before our eyes.
He's just like you think of him as this sort of explosive guy, and his feet are nailed to the floor now.
Nailed.
He's just not explosive.
Yeah. It's just every backup center the Sixers have had has been past their prime. They've never name the last Sixers backup center that was like in a good place in their career. It's always after they've been gone, after they've been good. Even Horford.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Horford still
totally, but it definitely wasn't his athletic prime. It's like they refuse to groom a backup center the way that BBall Paul could be, or the way that Charles Bassey could have been. And they're not going to spend big money on it, which I get. So it's like they just keep getting guys who are a year or two, or in DeAndre Jordan's case, 7 after their prime. And they're just helpless out there. And we're just going to keep doing this. They're going to sign a guy for $2 million. They're going to be bad. And then we're going to be like, no, Guess we'll get somebody else next year. And it'll just be the older version of whoever they just got. Just draft someone in the second round, whether it's BBall Paul or Charles Bassey or some new person who you think eventually could take the backup center minutes, and we'll have 3 to 4 years of this is Joel's backup. And they've just never done it. And because I think it's not because they haven't drafted a couple of useful guys, although some guys were terrible, fucking your boy Andrzej Prasechniks. Like, what? Doc won't play him, and he refuses to let them get better. It's driving me insane.
While I feel you, they haven't lost in the playoffs because I will always disagree with you that I don't think they lost in the playoffs because of the backup center.
Oh, in the Toronto series, they definitely did.
No, they didn't. They lost because Joel Embiid. Whatever. I don't want to rehash this, but
they were like a minus 95 in the 12 minutes he sat.
The fucking coach and crying that he had a stomach ache and maybe he couldn't play the day before.
But he was like a plus 105 or whatever when he was out there.
But that's fine. But like what could they have been if he was really in the fucking series? That's all I'm saying is that you can't, there was never some awesome LeBron backup on the Cavs or some awesome fucking Steph Curry backup on the Warriors. I agree with you conceptually. I think once the playoffs come, they're either going to win or they're not because of Embiid. So I
mean, yes, but also they could survive more,
sure,
which they did last year. Last year they didn't lose because of the backup because BBall Paul allowed them to survive. But when Greg Monroe was playing,
I agree.
Who they signed 12 days before,
I agree.
We're just how do we just keep making the same mistake? We make the same mistake. I don't like making the same mistake. I make many mistakes, but I make them once. Except for the Sixers and doing
which you've been making for years.
Giving a shit and giving a shit about these assholes.
We are
back.
We are 3 weeks away from Fly the Process. Fly the Process this year. I think there are a couple spots left on Fly the Process, but we were almost sold out. Fly the Process this year to go see our old friend Brett Brown in San Antonio. We'll stay in Austin for a couple nights too. It's going to be a lot of fun. Brett Brown is waiting for us. And we had mentioned this when we announced the trip, that, the wins this year for the Spurs don't really matter. They're a rebuilding team, they're in the Wembenyama sweepstakes or whatever. And I think we mentioned this at the very beginning. I think it's important for two things to happen that night. One, for Greg Popovich to know why we're there. I think he is a grumpy motherfucker, but for this particular thing, I think because he likes Brett, it will tug at his heartstrings. The other thing that needs to happen is he needs to get thrown out in the first quarter so Brett Brown can coach the Spurs and we can basically cheer for a coach on the opposing team while we cheer for the Sixers at the same time. Yeah. You remember, Mike, when we were in Minneapolis, when we were cheering for the Sixers, but also cheering for Dario. Mm-hmm. It was really fucking funny. Nobody knew what to do with us. They don't know how to handle it. I think for Brett, for us, for the culture, for everything, Popovich would get a kick out of arguing some meaningless call in the first half of the first quarter, saying the wrong thing and getting kicked out so we can cheer for Brett Brown.
I think that's right. And I think he would. I truly think he would.
If he knows about this.
I think he will.
Yeah.
I think they get a heads up about these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. They know. And
I think Pop is enjoying coaching some process Spurs basketball. I think
absolutely.
I saw when I was in Memphis, I saw Grizzlies Spurs. Got to say hello to Brett, which was lovely. And you're watching Pop. He's hoping for Wembenyama and whatever they get out of this draft. But he's enjoying his little break from giving a full shit all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that can extend to, taking 3/4 of the game off in the locker room, waiting for the game to end.
Or
as Brett gets applauded.
How about this? I'll talk to Joe from Fans of Philly. We will save Pop a seat with us.
Wow.
Pop gets thrown out and sits with the Ricky group.
Wow, a hero.
What I'm asking...
Would you ask Doc to sit with you?
Absolutely not. What I'm asking also is if you're a Spurs, if this gets to Spurs fans, you should want this too. This will be fun for you too. Amplify this. I need it. I could send, I've sent the Spurs a note. And I don't want, Brett can't participate in this part of it, of course, but I just think it's a fun request, and we do sports for fun, and you should let us have a little fun.
Wow. Appealing to fun.
Fun. Yeah.
I get it.
Speaking of Fly the Process, who will be, we're actually going to have a few sponsors on Fly the Process. Mike from Body Bio actually coming too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Rubbing everybody's tummy, just a gentle rub.
Yep. But
Whoever
LL Pavorsky, I believe the only Ricky sponsor that has been at every Bust the Process / Fly the Process, the first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Mike, we are a month away from Valentine's Day, a very jeweler holiday. Very jeweler holiday. And there's only one jeweler you can go to. That is LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Maybe you want to get engaged on Valentine's Day. Typical, you might say. Cliche, you might say. Lovely. Full of love, I say. There's only one person you can go to for that engagement ring. There's only one person you can go to for that anniversary present. There's only one person you can go to for that Valentine's Day present. LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Treats our listeners like fucking gold.
Gold.
Rose gold, as Mike likes to say. Been in business for over 30 years in the same spot. How do you do that? By treating people like gold. 707 Walnut is where LL is. He will be on Fly the Process, so if you want to talk to him, maybe about an engagement ring there, I'm sure he'd love to talk to you about that. That's not the only way you can get in touch with him, though. You can email him, lee@llpavorsky.com. You can tweet at him at @llpavorsky. And call him, 215-627-2252. A generous supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center, Mama T's Community Fridge, LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
You got to get in time. It's been a while. You got to get to him in time for, that's right, Cabana Valentine's Day.
Yeah, baby.
At LL.
So, Mike, I want to play you this audio. So we got this audio from, I want to credit this person correctly, an Instagram follower. He calls himself an Australian informant. And it is audio from an episode in November of 2022 of the True Hoop podcast, which is hosted. I don't know who the other guy is, but one of them is one Coach Thorpe.
Oh, no.
Who you refer to as David Thorpe.
Yeah. He's not my coach.
Right. So here's the audio.
Happy Inquirer guy. Make sure you guys check him out. If you're a Sixers fan, you want to read good basketball.
I did. I won't say the name of the show because I don't remember the name of the show, but I did some podcast there.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I won't mention them either.
I did. I wrote an article about how Ben Simmons needs a hug. I wasn't wrong, by the way. I feel really good that I wrote that. And this guy had me on and was very respectful on the show. And then I understand that he started saying like Thorpe's full of shit, whatever. That guy's dead to me now, basically. Like you can disagree with me.
Right.
But to say that kind of stuff as if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm wrong sometimes, but I know what I'm talking about. And don't disrespect me. You can disagree with me now without disrespect.
Absolutely. Listen, reasonable minds can disagree and you can be civil. No need for idiotic name calling or doing that kind of thing. Funny moment in the post-game presser.
So he doesn't remember the name of the show, but he remembers it a year and a half later or whatever, enough to say that.
What did we do to disrespect him?
What's that?
What did we do to disrespect him?
It seems like he said that while he was on the show, we were respectful of him, and he said the guy. So I don't know if he's talking about you or me, probably me, but because I'm come across as a bigger asshole, and I was the one that reached out to him. Is that he wrote this article that like Ben Simmons needs a hug, and they need to love him up in Philly, and yada yada yada. And we had him on. We asked him questions,
which again, like the fans did for for a long time, but
so. He is saying that while he was on the podcast, we disagreed, but we were respectful. But when he was off the podcast, we said he was full of shit. So it seems as if he has banned us. He will not say our name. He will not come back.
Who's the other guy?
I have no idea. The other guy, I think. I don't think he's one of the main, like, True Hope is Henry
Does Thorpe
Abbott.
have a Tommy?
I guess this is the Tommy.
Yeah. Tommy.
And this guy definitely won't say the name either. It appears as if we're banned by him. Is Coach Thorpe, who you refer to as David Thorpe, is he as
coach? Now that I'm coach, I'm coming around on it.
Is he a level of somebody we want to ban? Like where does this feel for you?
No, I mean if he's not, if he's
banned us. It's
so funny to be like respect. It's about respect.
Yeah.
Come on, bud. Come on, Dave. Come on.
So is he banned? Is he not? Like, what do we do here?
I know what I'm talking about. That's pretty good. Come on, man.
From one coach to another.
From one coach to another, you know, he's in timeout. Dave, you're in timeout.
Okay,
Dave,
so
sit at the end of the bench.
not-
You're in
okay.
timeout.
Dave, not even David. Dave. So
I'm not even the guy.
right. Well, you might be the guy. I don't
Maybe
know.
maybe he thinks I'm the Tommy.
But full of shit sounds like something that I would say.
It does sound like.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say it. I've said people are full of shit before.
Uh-huh.
And I don't necessarily mean that, like, I don't know. I think you take full of shit very literally.
Yeah.
It's just like,
We didn't actually mean his body was full of feces.
even just like, he's not, I don't think he's lying with that. I don't remember it. I don't
No, he's
remember.
just wrong.
He's just wrong. It was wrong. And
okay.
it's wrong. That's the frustrating thing that a lot of people, like, during the
Fake
Simmons,
coaches are wrong occasionally.
during the Simmons thing, during the Fultz thing, like, it was like everybody weighing in, like parachuting in to weigh in from a national perspective without like any of the context.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like, I have the answer. And it's actually to be quite nice. And like, that's the extent of it. And it's like, if you're a professional coachman, you don't need to be like, I think they should give him a hug. Like, grow up. Your name is Dave. It's fine. Timeout. End of the bench.
So a couple things happened while you were gone. KOC was on, talked about Jokic versus Embiid. There was an explosion of the Q-tip thing, and like there was more BBall Paul sweatshirt conversation. There was the Keith Pompey article, which I don't think you were here for. He's even out of green mediums, like a lot of stuff. The first thing I wanted to do was we got a couple, and I feel like these are time sensitive. We got a couple of voicemails about the KOC appearance. Now, KOC would not back off of, he is banned. He just filled in for you that one time. He wouldn't back off of his Jokic MVP vote and said that for one season to win a championship, he would still take Jokic over Embiid. We got a couple of voicemails about it. Here's the first one, 833 Lickface, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail.
I have a complaint. This fucking guy, this O'Connor, you keep bringing him back after you ban him. And we're still talking about Jokic and Embiid. And this guy tries to say that if he was picking a player or if he was watching them play defense, independent of their offense, he would be fine with Jokic and stuff like that. And I got two things I want to say. I want to say, in the history of the NBA, find me a center who's worse at defense and won an MVP than Jokic. Find me one. Iverson had better defense than Jokic does. And the second thing is he then starts talking about, O'Connor starts talking about how in the playoffs, where we'll see if pick and roll works when everybody's, switching on everything like teams do, the Bucks switch on everything. Who is not attacking Jokic when they get him switched on to them? What Tim Hardaway Jr. is attacking Jokic if he gets switched on to him. But, he's come a long way as a defender. That's all I have to say about this. I'm disgusted that his ban is a not enforced law. And Mike, you need to do something about this because Spike clearly cannot handle it and continues to have him on the show in your stead.
And then we got another voicemail about the same thing.
Hey guys, this is Jay from the Poconos. Just had to turn the podcast off because banned Kevin O'Connor, who should be double banned now, just said Jokic is above average defender, which is crazy. I don't know what I'm hearing. It's going to take me a while.
Mike, they're begging for you to do something about it.
I got to do so. Somebody's got to take the wheel here.
Yeah.
Get him out of there.
Yeah. So were you able to follow I feel like we have time to do one more thing. It's either Q-tips or BBall Paul.
I like that Ringer Top 100 is still
We'll get
sitting
to
there
it
in
eventually.
the rundown. I don't know. I think this is a Belle Biv DeVoe situation.
Would you rather do the BBall Paul thing or the Q-tip thing?
What's the BBall Paul thing?
Well, so there was a full article written by Keith Pompey on BBall Paul's burgeoning sweatshirt business.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And we did also get a couple of DMs of BBall Paul responding to people while the game is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, about 3 weeks ago, this happened, and I was assured that it was BBall Paul answering the DMs. I don't know if that is still the case. But in this article with Keith Pompey, he basically explains his profit margin. And one of our listeners emailed us basically breaking down what BBall Paul is making per hour by selling the hoodies. So it's that or the Q-tip thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's keep riding B-ball.
Okay. All right. So basically, like what he was saying was in the article, BBall Paul said, is that the hoodies were costing him $60 each to produce, and that he is also offering free shipping, which I think you've noticed. But like when people have a problem with the price, he's like, yeah, but there's free shipping, and he does send it FedEx, and he does get you the tracking number. So you have $60 plus FedEx shipping. You're probably talking whatever. So we got this from Bill. And Bill says, it looks like we may have enough information to determine how much BBall Paul actually makes with his hoodie business. Paul said each sweatshirt costs him around $60 to get from the distributor and ship. As we all know, he interacts with customers and coordinates orders, packages, and takes the sweatshirts to FedEx himself for shipping. Let's just say that he sends out 10 sweatshirts at a time with a potential profit of $40 per sweatshirt. I'm assuming that when he says $60 for buying the sweatshirt on his end, as well as shipping and handling, he just means the price of the sweatshirt as well as the shipping price for FedEx, not his labor time. Let's assume he interacts with each customer for 5 minutes. That's 50 minutes of work. For packaging the hoodies himself, this is at least 5 minutes per hoodie, 50 minutes of work. Now he drives the hoodies to FedEx, wait in line, plugs all the addresses in, and pays. I'm going to assume this takes at least an hour and a half, depending on his drive, and FedEx can really be busy and slow depending on the time of day. He's right. He is also now losing money on gas and likely parking. Some time must be factored in for just administrative things, like ordering the hoodies, making a list of orders, correct addresses. This is more difficult to break down since likely he orders hoodies in much larger batches than 10, but let's just say it's 30 minutes for 10 hoodies. So 3 hours, 40 minutes of work for $400. This is about $110 an hour before taxes. But Paul is in a very high tax bracket due to his supplementary income as an NBA player. He will be taxed 37% plus whatever Philly taxes are, losing around $40 on the $110. Now he's looking at $70 an hour. Somehow I think my estimate is generous and he's actually making a lot less. On the other hand, maybe he ships way more than 10 hoodies, but realistically, how many could he fit in his car and load in himself?
I think he could walk to FedEx,
right,
if it's next to his apartment, that kind of thing.
We also know he was willing to drive to someone just to drop off one hoodie. This is true. And this tells me he may be wasting some serious time doing deliveries. What do you think? We also had CJ, I was talking when Adam Lefko was on, we were talking about maybe spending a day with BBall Paul to look at the hoodie business. And I think that might actually happen.
CJ embeds with B-ball.
Yes, I think that might actually happen. So, we got this too about the hoodies. We got a couple of voicemails about the hoodies. 833 Lickface.
Hey guys, it's JP here, and I have an observation I would like to share with you, which is sort of the first basketball question. If you look at BBall Paul's number, 44, and you rotate it 180 degrees, it kind of looks like a B and a B, two Bs. Do you think that had anything to do with why he chose that number, B-ball, BB? And the non-basketball question.
We won't get to that. And then
that's non-basketball.
Right. And then there's this.
I don't think the question is whether the business is taking away from B-ball's basketball. I think the question is, did he start the business because his coach isn't playing him? Like, this dickhead won't give me any minutes, so I might as well start a business on the side. I don't have anything else to do.
Mike, there's a lot to throw at you all at once.
Yeah.
The money per hour,
it's a lot.
The 44. I need to know your comment on the 44.
Yeah, I just turned and looked at it. I do see it, and I do agree with it. That's why he picked 44.
Okay, because it looks like two Bs.
Yeah, B-ball for BB.
Yeah. And your thoughts on perhaps he's doing this because he's not getting any run?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. I think Tobias, pulled him aside months ago and was like, hey man, we don't know how long this career is. And so you got to make it count. Got to get your investments in order, figure it out. And Paul's like, cool. Sweatshirt empire. Doing it now, starting it now, not paying anyone else. $100, nice round number. And I'm going to do it during the game when Doc doesn't play me. And I think that's great.
Sure.
I think you should be allowed to. You should be allowed to work on other stuff when you're not being played.
Yes. While the game's going on. No problem. Sit on the bench,
No
work
problem.
on it. Bring a laptop.
No
I don't
problem.
care.
I want Jaden Springer to be doing like if he's still like finishing college courses at Tennessee, he should be able to like have a laptop out and just do a couple, maybe like a little Zoom class.
Maybe a little TV tray to put on his lap.
Yeah.
Laptop.
Dan House should be, keeping a list of everyone he's having sex with as favors and taking the fall for. I think that's important.
They're definitely going to have to upgrade the Wi-Fi in Wells Fargo Center.
They gotta do
use the
it.
press Wi-Fi in there.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
The end of the bench should be like a business center.
Yeah.
I think we should think about that.
We'll get to the Q-tips next time.
How could there be more?
Oh, there's so much more. You've not checked in on the Q-tip thing. So
I saw the clip where Adam was reacting
to the guy who was in a medically induced coma. Yeah.
Yes.
There's actually more stories like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's a lot of Q-tip stuff to get to.
This headphone is kind of like a Q-tip.
It is, except think about if it went deeper. All right. Well, welcome back, Mike. It's good to have you back. We still haven't rung the bell. They had Matt Cord do it the other day. Who, God bless Matt Cord, but he's literally there every game.
No, it's cool. It's cool. And Sixers Adam was excited about it, and that's nice.
Tim Perry, Jamie Apathy from Channel 6. We're in year 10 here. I think it's probably time for us. I'm sick of begging. I'm thinking about saying no if we ever get asked. If we don't get asked this season, I think this could be the last season of bell ringing. Actually,
why?
Well, it just seems like they're trying a lot less hard with there's a lot less all-stars. I'm not saying I don't have any inside information on this, but it feels like it's winding down. It would be nice.
The Kings have sort of taken over with Light the Beam. That's sort of become
it's just like people don't get excited about it anymore, and they're just like, hey, here's some fucking car dealer, I don't know. They could do it for us before it goes away. I'm saying, I'm not asking. I'm saying it is the right thing to do. It would be the right thing to do. Is some fucking random Thursday against some Western Conference team wouldn't be that hard. Nobody would notice except for us. But yeah. All right. Welcome back. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
And thank you to KOC, who was banned, and Adam Lefko, who was great as well for filling in. We will talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lickface.